The Stanley Cup Final is set. A year-long journey to the pinnacle of the NHL world has arrived, my friends. And on this solo episode, Monday's episode of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast with Big Flip Livingstone, we are taking a deep look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, their path to the final, and everything that you need to know from a Tampa Bay perspective. Let's get it.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hockey heads, degenerate gamblers, and bettors alike, welcome back inside the lab. This is the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast with your boy, Big Flip Livingstone, subbing in today for my man, my co-host, the birthday boy, Mr. Steel Roden. He's on the IR today, but don't you worry, my friends. I'm here to hold your hand through everything that you need to know about the Tampa Bay Lightning side of things for this Stanley Cup Final. It is set. Colorado Avalanche, Tampa Bay Lightning, the toast of each conferences will be going toe-to-toe this week. And for today's episode, we'll be taking a look at the Tampa Bay Lightning in specific, how they got there, a little bit of the coaching side of things, Jon Cooper, and the Tampa Bay Lightning's borderline dynasty push. Today's episode, my friends, is brought to you by BetOnline, which has you covered with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. Like I said, it is a solo episode with your boy, Big Flip Livingstone. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for making us your first listen every single day. The Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast is free and available across all your favorite platforms. So much love for the subscribe, follow, comment, like, all of that love. You know that it means a lot to both Steele and I. So thank you so much. Everybody, let's get into it. It is the Stanley Cup Final. I'm fired up. I'm kind of a little bit happy that Steele let me go today because I just get to flap my gums and you guys get to listen. I hope that you enjoy it. But there is a lot to talk about. The Tampa Bay Lightning are an impressive franchise. They deserve a lot of credit. There's a lot to talk about from this side of things, and that's why I wanted to start with the Tampa Bay Lightning, not only because of their path to the Cup, but just because of how they got here. The resiliency, I'm going to use some big words today, guys, so hang with me. The resiliency and confidence, poise, clutch, killer instinct. There are a lot of adjectives we can use to describe this group, and they fit the bill on almost all of them. I need to show up here and take it on the chin and say, I had the New York Rangers in 7. The New York Rangers had their boots on the throat of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they let off. They let off a couple of inches, and the Tampa Bay Lightning got right off the tarmac and put a beating on them in 4 straight games. That is impressive, and the Colorado Avalanche head into this Stanley Cup as favorites, but they better be aware of the confidence of this Tampa Bay Lightning group. And that's where I wanted to start on today's episode, guys, because as much as I'm going to talk about the final previous matchups of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Jon Cooper, the lines, a little bit of everything from the Tampa Bay Lightning's perspective, we need to give them credit. We need to give them credit for the confidence that they have. Because honestly, the way that they looked going down 2-0 in Game 3, they didn't even seem rattled. The score was 2-0, and they came right back. The confidence is stemming from Steven Stamkos, Victor Hedman, Andrei Vasilevsky. It's behind the bench. It's in the front office. This team has it. There's something to be said about that. A killer instinct is something you can't coach. As much as I just alluded to the fact that I'm going to talk about Jon Cooper and how much I think he is one of the most underrated coaches we have seen in the past number of years. The man doesn't even have a Jack Adams. He's been in the mix, but he needs one. Anyway, I'm going to get to that after the break. This Tampa Bay Lightning team has the swagger. That's what they have. A friend of mine, Adam Vandenbroek, props to you, my friend, longtime Tampa Bay Lightning fan. You've been talking about the swagger of this team for a while, and they have it, and that's real. The Avalanche open as minus 190 favorites. The Bolts are paying plus 170 to take home their 3rd Stanley Cup in a row. And right in this conversation about resiliency, confidence, killer instinct, goes the conversation about Dynasty, guys. It's time to start recognizing this Tampa Bay Lightning team, if you haven't already, as a legitimate dynasty. New York Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins, Detroit Red Wings, Edmonton Oilers, Tampa Bay Lightning. There are a number of dynasties in the mix that you could talk about. They deserve now to be right at the top of that list as the most recent group. After the 2019 showing, guys, stay with me here. I'm a little bit thirsty. You know me. 2019 showing getting swept away by the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round. They had a very interesting situation to look at. Blow it up or go back with the same group. And I want to give props to a former colleague of mine at The Score. John Madish wrote a beautiful piece today in the Score app. If you haven't checked it out, go over there and check that out. That's a plug for another company, but that's how good that article is. Go out there and check that out about the Tampa Bay Lightning. They had an interesting point in time there in the offseason after getting swept away by the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round to make some serious moves, and they basically brought back all the same pieces. And now look who's getting it done. As he called them, the Tampa Bay OGs, Nikita Kucherov, Andrei Vasilevsky, Victor Hedman, Steven Stamkos, all those guys that have been the cornerstones of the franchise continue to get it done and showed up in a big, big way in the last 4 games of this series. So credit due to Steven Stamkos, credit due to the overall quality of this Tampa Bay Lightning team. And very quickly before I get to the break, they went through a very good Toronto Maple Leafs team in the first round. Let's be clear about that. The Leafs could not get it done, but they went blow for blow with the Tampa Bay Lightning and they pushed them to the brink. That was a good 7-game series win for the Tampa Bay Lightning after going down in early game 1, 5-0. Then a 4-game sweep of the Florida Panthers to hold them to only, let's check the stat, 3 goals in 4 games to the high-powered Florida Panthers, an in-state rival. Now we're getting impressive. Plus they get the rest. Then you deal with the New York Rangers after going down 2-0 in the series, coming right back and blowing the doors off the Rangers in the last 4 games. It's time to start to take notice, and it's time to talk about this team as a legitimate dynasty. Coming up around the break, guys, please stay tuned. Lots more to talk about from the Tampa Bay Lightning side of things. I want to talk about Jon Cooper because I really do think a lot of the pieces of this team, the intangibles, are a lot credit due to Jon Cooper and the quality of his coaching ability. I'm also going to talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning are facing a very different beast this time around in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is not the 2020 Dallas Stars. This is not the 2021 Montreal Canadiens. This is the Colorado Avalanche. We'll talk a lot about that as well. But first, I need to hit you with the hit about Athletic Greens, baby. It is a new delicious product that both Steele and I are using before and after the gym. What is it? With 1 delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, probiotics, everything that you need to start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy. It helps you recover, it helps you focus, and helps you age with grace. These are all the things that you need. This isn't no normal supplement, and it is great before or after the gym. Right now, it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 free year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Guys, thank you so much for making us your first listen every single day. Me and Steele, Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast hosts. We really appreciate that love every single day. So make sure you are out there smashing the subscribe button, hit that follow button. Please drop us a comment. When we say it, we sincerely mean it. I would love to hear your feedback every single day. Are we off the mark? Are we on point? Hit us up. And I have an important favor to ask you. We've put together a survey so we can learn more about you guys, our listeners, our supporters, and make your favorite podcast on the Locked On Network even better. This is your chance to tell us what you do and don't like about the pods, and make sure you can give us all of the feedback you have on the top of your head. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now to get started. It won't take long, and trust me when I say it's worth it. Everyone that completes a survey can qualify for the chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. Hello, playoffs, yo. Take our audience survey. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And we thank you so much for your help. Okay, guys, that was a mouthful. I hope you're still riding with me. Solo episode, Big Flip Livingstone, Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, baby. I am filling in for Steele today, guys, but thank you so much for riding with us and making us your first listen every single day. You've heard all that. Now, second segment. I've been hearing a lot about the quality of this Tampa Bay Lightning team. As mentioned, resiliency, clutch, killer instinct, It's time to talk about why. We know the quality up front. We know Andrei Vasilevsky in the cage. We know the deep and talented blue line anchored by arguably the best defenseman in the game / Cale Makar as well with Victor Hedman in Tampa Bay. That's going to be an interesting matchup as well. Tampa Bay, Victor Hedman, Colorado, Cale Makar. That's going to be a beauty. This series has beauty written all over it. Anyway, we'll get to that final segment, teeing up the finals matchup a little bit. And while we're at it, stay tuned for tomorrow's episode where we will be talking about the Colorado Avalanche side of things in a bit more detail. But anyway, Jon Cooper deserves a whole ton of credit is what I'm trying to get at. To hold the chemistry of this group the way that they've done it year in and year out. And I want to talk about, again, a point that John Madish raised today at the Score. Please, I'm serious. Go check out this article. It is worth it. They lost a very good trio of role players. And when it comes to replacing these kinds of role players, rolling them in and out over the last couple of years, yes, that has a factor to do with the quality of the player, but no one really talks about the quality of what that takes from the coaching side of things. And yes, we are a fantasy hockey podcast. We talk about the players, the guys on the ice, the players that are going to get it done for you in your leagues and put that money in your pocketbook. I don't joke about that. But we need to show some love to Jon Cooper here, because to lose players like Barclay Goodrow, Blake Coleman, and Yanni Gourde over the last handful of seasons, and to slot in guys that have continued to show up, like Nick Paul, we've seen that. Ross Colton, we've seen it. All these guys who continue to fill in, even Patrick Maroon and Corey Perry. Honestly, as much as credit is due to those guys, credit is due to Jon Cooper and his coaching staff. That rotating cast of role players is a factor that I don't think a lot of people pay attention to, and they should. This man doesn't even have a Jack Adams award trophy yet, and I know he's been a finalist, but it's time to throw some respect on this guy's name. Seriously. And if 3 straight cup trips isn't enough to do it, maybe it's 3 straight cup rings that might get people to wake up and start giving Jon Cooper the credit that he deserves. Not to mention, he's a charismatic guy. He's great to listen to, and what a breath of fresh air that is in the hockey circles when it comes to coaches. Usually not a ton to say when it comes to those quotes. But again, Jon Cooper and his staff deserve a ton of credit, because this Tampa Bay Lightning team is not to be trifled with. And, right around the break here, and I'm going to tee that up in a second for you guys, I will make the point that this finale is a lot different from the previous two. From the Tampa Bay Lightning side of things, they're going up against a quality team, but we're going to get to that in a second. I'm lastly going to leave it at this. When I talked about the confidence and the resiliency off the top of the show, and I'm not going to go back down that path again, that also stems from the coaching staff. And if you don't want to hear anything more about me when it comes to Jon Cooper and his staff, just take a look at the quotes that come out of his players, night in and night out, talking up his ability to get behind the bench and get his players fired up. And again, if you don't want to hear anything more from me, take a look at the path they took to get here. And to go down 2-0 against the New York Rangers, and to be able to go into the barn that is Madison Square Garden when it has been absolutely rocking night in and night out, there's nothing else that needs to be said, because this guy knows how to coach. He knows how to get the best of it out of his players, and it continues to happen. And he continues to have the rings on his finger, and maybe let's just let them do the talking. But in the meantime, guys, please stay tuned. Coming up right around the break, like I said, we're going to break down this matchup a little bit more between the Edmonton Oilers. Oh, my goodness. I'm getting ahead of myself here in a bad way. Between the Tampa Bay Lightning and Colorado Avalanche. I need to let you know about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your sports betting stats and info. Find all the latest developments, news, and odds, including this year's basketball final between the Celtics and Golden State Warriors. Warriors all day, baby. Let's go. The NHL conference finals are done, and it's time for the Stanley Cup. You know BetOnline has you covered on that. Major League Baseball is in full swing, and of course, MMA, UFC, boxing, all your combat sports needs at BetOnline. It is your confirmed and continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. Head to their website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and all the action. Bet online, where the game starts. Guys, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. You know where to find us across all platforms you find your favorite and hottest content, including YouTube. And like Steele says, we appreciate that love. So make sure you hit that subscribe button right now if you're still tuned in, even after my flub about the Edmonton Oilers. I clearly have them on the brain still because I am going to talk about the Colorado Avalanche's path to the Cup final in detail tomorrow with Steele on Tuesday's episode. So make sure you're tapped in for that because that episode will also include all of our picks, predictions, and bets for the Cup final between the Tampa Bay Lightning and Colorado Avalanche. I got it right that time, guys. But let's talk about it right now because like I mentioned a few times throughout the episode, and thank you for riding with me on a solo one. It's been a little while. I hope you are enjoying it. This is a bit of a different beast that the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to have to face here against the Colorado Avalanche because the 2020 Dallas Stars and the 2021 Montreal Canadiens, no disrespect due to either of those clubs, and I'm not trying to take away from either of those Stanley Cups because I've heard people do that. One was in the bubble, one was against a Canadiens team that went on a dream run. Those are two rings. They have them on their finger. The banners are in the rafters. And that's all that matters. So I'm not going to take away from the wins at all. But what I will point out, which is a clear fact for any hockey fan, and if Tampa Bay Lightning fans don't want to admit to this fact, then they better just wake up in general. This Colorado team is on a whole other level than those other two clubs. That is clear. The Tampa Bay Lightning have also been tested. They've been pushed to the brink. You know, Game 7 against Toronto. I know Game 6 against the Rangers, but they've been tested. And now that, once again, they've played the most hockey out of any club in now 3 years running, that's a factor that cannot be ignored. One that also can't be ignored, though, from the other side of things, while I'm trying to take down the Tampa Bay Lightning a wee bit, is the Colorado Avalanche's path to the final. And, you know, I'm not going to go into depth about this because that will be for tomorrow's episode. But as much as I'm talking about this being a different beast for the Tampa Bay Lightning, I want to be honest about it being a tough one for the Colorado Avalanche as well. And I mentioned the odds. Minus 190, Colorado opens as favorites. So let's talk about their path very quickly because we'll break it all down for you tomorrow in depth. They get through the Nashville Predators, the St. Louis Blues, and now there we go, the Edmonton Oilers. Is that really a true test? I'm going to say it is not. I'm going to say it's not because the Tampa Bay Lightning now poise a very, very serious and different level of threat to this Colorado Avalanche team. One that I don't think enough people are talking about, playing with their backup goalie. Pavel Francouz has been more than serviceable and is more than a serviceable NHL goaltender. But it's time to really put up or shut up. And now you are in the Stanley Cup final, baby, against Andrei Vasilevskiy, a player that we know is not going to be rattled. And I'm not going to bring up all the points I brought up about the Tampa Bay Lightning and their thick backbone and ability to bounce back from any situation. But the Colorado Avalanche better be very serious about the task at hand here. And that task at hand, like I said, we will talk all about it on tomorrow's episode, Tuesday's episode, guys. Make sure you stay tuned for that. But I made sure I wanted to bring up that point. This will be a very serious litmus test for both teams. And I think we have a very rare scenario and a real treat, actually, to see what, in my opinion, is the best team in both conference. And that's clear. I don't think there's a debate there this year. And that's almost fun to see. These are the heavyweights of the NHL realm, and they are going to go toe-to-toe, blow for blow, and I cannot wait to see it all unfold. I'm going to say Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to leave my predictions for tomorrow with my boy Steele. Happy birthday to the kid once more. Thank you for tuning in to a solo episode with your boy Big Flip Livingstone, the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day, guys. Make sure you are subscribed, tuned in, and tapped in. There is a lot more fantasy hockey playoff coverage coming up for this final. Tampa Bay Lightning. I'll get it right this time, guys. I will. Colorado Avalanche. Big time final. Let's get it. And thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you on tomorrow's episode. Peace.